stay at home on 9 to 5, raising your babies with joy and pride. A real ass mom, you're a real ass mom, taking care of business. Ooh, girl, you're resilient, 'cause you're a real ass mom, a real ass mom.
Welcome to the Real Mama Pod. Real ass moms sharing real ass experiences. The things people don't tell you.
Hey, mama, hey.
Hey, mama, hey.
Hey, if this is your first time listening, I'm your host, Devin.
And I'm your host, Kendra. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, welcome to the Real Mama Pod.
Welcome.
Yeah, so we are checking in on Ken today.
Yes.
Yeah.
We checking in on me.
Checking in on Ken, see how she's doing. For those who follow us on social media, we had put out an announcement about 2 weeks ago how we were taking some time away.
Yes.
To focus on Kenny Boo.
Yes. There were some circumstances.
So we're going to talk about what you've been through.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
You got some questions for me?
You know I do.
Of course. Got 'em.
All right. So checking in on you, friend. How are you doing mentally, physically, emotionally? And then also tell us about how's Jonathan doing too. I want to know how he's doing.
Okay. So mentally, I'm fine. I guess as I talk more about what happened, you all will kind of have a better understanding. But mentally, I'm doing fine. I'm doing better than what most folks might expect me to be doing, considering what happened. But I'm mentally fine. Okay. Emotionally, I'm fine too. I have moments where I'm like, WTF. But overall, I'm fine. Physically, I'm actually really well. Considering what happened. I would not have expected my body to have kind of bounced back the way that it has. Yeah. But I think a large part of me physically healing comes with how I've emotionally and mentally dealt with the situation. So overall, in those three areas, I'm doing fine. As far as Jonathan, he seems to be fine as well. I think the big part is him being concerned about me and how I'm doing, which is natural, right? He's my life partner and he should be, but he's always checking in on me, and me carrying this spirit has allowed him to be fine as well, at least mentally and emotionally. Physically, ain't nothing wrong with him. He's doing fine.
Yeah.
I guess I should share what happened.
Yeah, so you want to tell listeners what happened and what you experienced?
Absolutely. So, last year, Devin and I, we manifested that I would get pregnant, and I did. It was a huge secret until about almost 3 weeks ago. Yeah. I was on a work trip to DC, and shortly after I got there, I had these like massive cramps. Like they just came out of nowhere, and I quickly at first I was like, maybe this is just like the implantation period. Maybe it's just something that goes on in the first trimester. Nothing to be concerned about. Then the pains got like crazy. Like I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I was like sweating. It was just out of nowhere. So I was with my supervisor at the time, and I told her, I said, listen, I said, I'm going to have to let you in on a little secret. I said, I'm pregnant, but something's not right now. So she was like, okay, like what's going on? She asked me how I was feeling, and I told her what I just said. And I'm like, I think I need to go to the hospital. So thankfully, my dad lives in D.C. for the time. He's temporarily working there. And he lives about 1.5 miles from the hotel that I was staying at. So I called him. I said, Daddy, I need you to come get me and take me to the hospital. So he's like, okay. I called him first because he's there, and I needed some quick action. So he called Jonathan for me and told him, like, Ken's not doing well. Of course, Jonathan's like 3-way hurt. I'm like, listen, bro, like I can't explain how I'm feeling because I can barely talk. Right. But Jonathan, being the researcher he is, he's like, I found the hospital. This is where I want you to take her. So my dad picks me up. he takes me to the hospital, and while he's parking the car, one of the staff like wheeled me into the waiting room. So as soon as my dad walked in, I said, Dad, I have to go to the restroom. Like, can you wheel me? Because I couldn't even walk at this point. Can you wheel me to the restroom? So he takes me to the restroom. I use the restroom. And as soon as I walk out, like, I just pass out in the waiting room. So I heard, like, I'm obviously not conscious, but I can also, like, kind of hear what's going on. It's very strange. So they quickly took me to the back. They started taking my vitals, and then my blood pressure was like 60/40. So when I heard that, I was like, that don't sound right.
Tell us what those numbers mean.
So thanks for pointing that out. That means that my blood pressure was way too low. And at that point, they were concerned about me being dehydrated, and there was then a concern that I was losing blood. At that time, I didn't have an ultrasound, so they didn't know what was going on. They just knew that I was pregnant. But based on the symptoms that I had, like, the doctors were like, she's probably experiencing an ectopic, but we need to do the ultrasound to kind of see what's going on.
Right.
So with my blood pressure being that low, they quickly put IVs in me. Like, I had like 2 in each arm, which is crazy. I've never had that many IVs at once. But they had to act fast because, like, I was like about to be out of here if they didn't act quickly. So after they got the IVs in me, the ultrasound tech came in and did the ultrasound, and he couldn't even find the embryo because my stomach was filled with so much blood. So they were like, we can't even, like, he had to like dig in my stomach to figure out where the embryo was and which tube it was in, right? Because that's where the embryo was.
Right.
That was so painful, y'all. Like, I was in tears because I'm like, I can't even, the first IV they gave me was on my joint. So I was suffering from pain there. But then having these people like pressing on my stomach that's already uncomfortable was just, it was a hot mess. But everyone just, they worked so well together to make sure I was good. So they finally found the embryo. And the doctors explained to my dad, and I was gaining more conscious because they had the IVs in me at that time. They were like, you're having an ectopic pregnancy, and we're going to have to do emergency surgery to get it fixed. So within like 30 to 45 minutes of me getting there, they wheeled me into surgery. They got everything out, and they acted quickly. And, you know, I had to spend one night in the hospital. Fortunately, my dad lived there, so I was able to be discharged and go to his home. And Jonathan flew in like a few hours after my dad called him. So in a nutshell, kind of, that's what happened. I had an ectopic pregnancy that was very painful.
Yeah. I'm sorry, friend. Just hearing it all over again and then in person.
It was a lot.
Of course, you told me on the phone. Jonathan called me immediately. And, you know, I'm the dramatic one.
Yes.
But surprisingly, I stayed calm.
You did. And I'm proud of you for that.
I got right on Google and Hopper and started looking for flights. And I'm like, do you need me to purchase the flight so you can just, you know, worry about Eli? He's like, no, I got it. Thanks for sending these. Make sure you had options. But I felt helpless. And then I couldn't talk to you. So I'm like, Lord, what? So, of course, I called your dad. Well, I texted him. I said, I'm not going to call him. I'm going to text him. He's very responsive. But once I heard your voice, I felt better. You were in good spirits. Not that I'm surprised, because usually you handle things well. But it was just like, are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, you definitely asked me that. You're like, do you need a therapist?
Right.
Or it's like,
It's
no,
just like,
not right now.
Almost too calm. So I'm like, no tears, no. And Kendra's not the crier. If she does cry, it's very
if I cry,
quiet.
It's in private usually.
You're not going to see her. If you see her crying, she's really upset. And I've seen her cry, and she was really upset. But yeah, so and I share this with you too. I think you subconsciously, because you experienced a miscarriage before, like you kind of like prepared yourself for this.
Yeah.
And not that you want anything bad to happen to you or your future children, but I think you subconsciously was like, okay, if something happens, I'm prepared for it.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say, because when I had the miscarriage, that was a complete shock, right? That was the first traumatic experience we had. So that was a hot mess. But when I got pregnant with Eli, I was very happy that I got pregnant. And I waited until I went to that first appointment and had that first ultrasound to really become attached to the pregnancy. With this pregnancy, same thing. And the crazy thing is I had a doctor's appointment to, check and see how everything was the following Friday. Yeah. That just happened to be, it turned into an appointment to check to make sure I'm good. But something just in me, considering the first traumatic experience we had with the miscarriage, I was like happy and very thankful because I thought it was going to take us a while to get pregnant, and it didn't. But I needed that confirmation that the baby was good and growing healthy before I fully emotionally committed to being pregnant.
That's fair.
So that kind of helps. It doesn't, like, it's not a great thing, but it helped me kind of cope with what's happened.
Okay. So in this moment, what are you most grateful for?
My life. So if I would not have listened to my body, then me and Devin would be talking to each other right now. Right. So that's ultimately what I'm most thankful for. Now, I'm going to add that I'm thankful for my village, right? My parents, my brother, and my sister-in-law, of course, Jonathan, like, all of them came together to make sure I was good and make sure Eli was kept completely oblivious to what's happened. Eli was not worried about us, right? So me knowing that he was taken care of also kind of helped me in the circumstance. So I'm very thankful for my friends. Like, y'all showed out. My friends definitely showed out with just checking on me, calling me, texting me, FaceTiming me, sending gifts. Like, I really appreciate just the support that was centered around my circumstance. So that's what I'm most thankful for, my life and my village.
Okay, so what is one takeaway you have from this experience?
That takeaway is to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of those people that can ignore things and, like, I'm optimistic, so I'm like, oh, it'll get better. Yeah. But in that moment, I'm like, something, like, after it was like a lingering, like, cramp for, like, it was so bad. Like, I've never experienced a cramp like that in my life.
And you have a high tolerance for pain.
I do have a high tolerance for pain. So for me to be like, I can't walk, I can't talk, like, it was something serious. So me listening to my body is like the takeaway. If I feel like something is wrong mentally or physically, I'm going to have to act, because I can't take any chances considering that my life literally depends on it.
Right.
So that's my takeaway for sure.
Okay.
And to be thankful, grateful.
Yeah.
Because you just never know what life is going to throw at you.
Yeah. So are y'all open to trying again?
I'm more open than Jonathan is.
Okay.
So when I go to the doctor, I have another follow-up appointment in a couple months. And within that appointment, my doctor's going to test the health of my, like, reproductive system. So he's going to look at my ovaries. He's going to look at my other fallopian tube, because one of them the one that ruptured, did have to get taken out, just to make sure it's safe for me to get pregnant again. If that man tells me it's safe, I'm going to be like, okay, let's try again. Right? Jonathan, for now, is like, no.
Yeah.
Because he has seen me from a different perspective.
Yeah.
He felt helpless with the miscarriage. He felt helpless when I was in the hospital with Eli. He felt helpless when my dad's calling him like, your wife is now having to go into emergency surgery because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, like, we have Eli. I'm very thankful for our son. I would rather have your life here than to try again. Yeah. Which I can understand, right? I would obviously want my life as well. But if the doctors tell me that it's safe for us to try again, Why not?
Yeah. And we spoke to other moms who actually had successful pregnancies with one fallopian tube.
Yep.
That was the first thing I researched. Like, is it possible? Is it safe? Just for my own knowledge, because I didn't know anyone personally. But then when you start sharing your story, so many women came out and shared similar or the same exact experiences. And then shared how they were able to still conceive and have multiple children with one fallopian tube.
Yeah, after I shared what happened, my family is very close in communication. Like, even before I shared my experience on Facebook, my mom is like the mouth of the South in our family. And she told my aunt, and my aunt was like, you know, your cousin had an ectopic pregnancy, and she had all 3 of her children on one too. And I had another cousin who had an ectopic pregnancy, and I think 3 more. So my first time hearing about an ectopic was like 3-4 years ago when my cousin experienced it. Never heard of that in my life. But after my experience, I've learned that I have other family members who have, and even friends, like a part of our community, our mom groups, who had ectopic pregnancies and were able to conceive children. So that's why I think it's so important to share these stories, because you just never know how your story can make another mother feel in terms of being optimistic about her fertility journey. So I'm very optimistic, given that I'm still here. And 2, there are people in my community and in my village who have had a similar experience, and they've had healthy pregnancies, they have healthy children, and they're thriving. So why can't I do the same?
Right. That's fair. Now, did they say how common this is in women?
So my doctor did not tell me how common it was, but I did do some research, and I saw that like 1 in 40 women have an ectopic pregnancy. So it's not super common, but it happens enough for it to be a thing, right? So, and for us to have heard it within our communities and our families. So it doesn't happen too often, but
often enough.
It happens often enough.
Yeah, my sister experienced one as well, and now she has 4 children. A set of twins.
See? That's what I'm saying. So, like, you have these miracle stories like your sister who was able to conceive her 4 children on one tube. Right. So,
well, thanks for that, friend. I saw something on social media. I can't remember who shared it, and us just having this conversation kind of sparked something in me to ask you, or just to talk about it, because you never really think about it until you experience things like this. And I saw something like, if it's between me and my unborn child, like, choose me. And, you know, hindsight being 2020, it's like, yeah, because I have a husband and other kids to take care of.
Absolutely.
And if I'm not here, then I leave them. Versus I can try to have another child. And I know it sounds really bad, right? But it's just like, dang, I would have to choose me in that regard.
And it sucks that women or people, because it's not just a woman that has to make that decision. Her partner may have to step in, right? But definitely choose me. Yeah. Like, I have like you said, a husband. I have a child that needs me. I have a family that needs me. Like, choose me. Yeah. You know? And it sucks that we have to have these types of conversations, but it's a reality.
Yeah, it is a reality. And it's more and more of our reality, especially the older we get.
I know. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like the older you get, the more high risk your pregnancy can be, right? Yeah. So, and I'm already considered high risk because
geriatric. I hate that word.
Of, you know, Eli with the severe preeclampsia, and, you know, we're at that age where we look young and fabulous, but
our insides,
our bodies are like, yeah, you look good, but like, let's be real here, right?
Right, you got a time clock.
You gotta have these conversations. Yeah. And unfortunately, we fall in that category of being high risk now, not just because of our past pregnancy experiences, but our age. Yeah. Yeah. So,
well, listen, all that talk, I need a drink because this was a little heavy.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you for your transparency. Your spirit has been great through this journey. your other best friend, Brandy, and I had several conversations, and we're friends too, outside of you, but you know, she's still your best friend. It's just like, girl, you okay over there? Because I know how you are.
Y'all took it harder than I did.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to Brandy several times.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
how, I'm like, I'm really fine, friend. But both of y'all are, the more dramatic friends. Yeah. Both of you. And I love y'all for it. I really do. But, you know, she has saved her tears for you, and not for me. Yeah. But y'all have been real soldiers in this fight.
Well, what are we drinking from Mama's Juice? Because, listen.
Are you looking for a place to go, like on vacation or with your girls?
Of course. I'm always looking to kick it with my girls or my man.
Yeah, or your boo. Well, if you are in search of a vacation planner, we have the perfect person for you, and that is KT Travel and More.
Yes. Stephanie is fabulous and thorough.
Very.
And she will make sure you have the best time on your vacation.
Yes.
Yo, if you have a destination wedding you're trying to plan, let's talk about that. Okay, anniversary, couples trips,
baby
all
moon.
That. Baby moon. Yeah, she got you.
She got you all the way.
So check out KT Travel and
More.
Yes, and tell her we sent you.
Bye.
Bye. And let's share with our listeners what Mama Juice is, if this is their first time listening to our episode. Podcast. So
Mama Juice is my favorite part of the segment. Or the show, rather, because I love a good cocktail. Yeah. Like, I love a good drink, and I like drinks that speak to experiences. So what we do is we curate a drink based on the guests, the conversations, and just the vibes. Yeah. And I like my liquor kind of strong. Yeah. I'm a brown girl drinker. I started liking gin a lot lately, but I wanted to create a drink that kind of spoke to me and my experience. And Devin actually named this drink "What a Journey" because it has been a journey. And Jonathan, all his research, he helped me curate this drink. Okay. And I'm gonna tell y'all this before I tell you what the drink is. But with me losing so much blood, like my iron levels are still very low, which means that my immune system is like it could be at risk, right? So he found a simple syrup that helps boost immune systems. Okay. And what it has is like fresh orange and turmeric in it, and sage and ginger. So that is the simple syrup that is a part of this drink. I wanted to put that note out there before I told y'all what the ingredients were. But it has 2 ounces of bourbon. It has 1.5 ounces of the ginger, turmeric, orange, sage simple syrup. Okay. And I'll put instructions on how to make this in the description box. It has 3 ounces of fresh squeezed orange juice. Y'all, go get a fresh orange and just squeeze the juice. If you want to use, like, store-bought orange juice, that's totally fine, too. But I recommend that you use fresh squeezed orange juice. And then you mix all that up, and you top it with ginger beer. And you can put an orange wedge or slice in there for garnish. And that's the drink. What a journey.
It's tasty.
It's good. And if you're a mama-to-be, if you want to drink this drink, you can. Just use the turmeric, orange, ginger, simple syrup, the fresh squeezed orange juice, and top it with ginger beer.
It's really good. She made mine less strong than hers. Because y'all know I cannot handle.
No, Devin just needs syrup and ginger beer.
Pretty much. Just make me a mocktail.
Just give you the mocktail.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, so now it's time for our next segment of the show, which is Mama's Corner. And this is my favorite part of the show because this allows us to connect with our listeners. And if we have guests, they kind of are interactive within Mama's Corner as well. And so our listeners or supporters write in and ask questions and mama hacks, ask for advice. We are no experts. We can only share advice based on our personal experiences. So do not go back and say, Devin and Ken said, if it doesn't work out for you. If it does, give us our credit. But if it doesn't, we ain't say it.
Right.
So we had a mama write in.
Okay.
And usually I'm strategic about our letters. So if I know we have an episode coming up that kind of relates to the question, I'll plug that question into the episode. So this says, hey ladies, y'all really helped me get through my Thursdays. Oh, I really enjoy listening to you all. And I have a question for Kendra. You've been really open about your miscarriage, which I can appreciate. How did you overcome your loss? I recently experienced one, and I just don't know where to begin as far as my grief. Thank you for your advice.
Sorry to that mom who has experienced a miscarriage. It takes time to grieve a miscarriage, especially if it's your first one. And you have to allow yourself to feel it all. Like, you're going to have days where you're very optimistic and you're like, we can try again. And, you know, like I said, be optimistic. But you're going to have days where it's like, I feel really sad about this. Like, why did this happen to me? What's wrong with me? Feel all of that. And it's okay to ask yourself those questions. It's okay to have all those feelings. But don't try to block it out, because that's when things can get to a state mentally where it's challenging for you to deal with it long term.
Right.
So my advice is to feel it all, and know that you're not alone either, because when you go through a miscarriage, you can feel alone. It's like, I, again, didn't know how often miscarriages happened until I had one of my own, right? And I shared my story. So having a community of moms who were open to say, I experienced this too, and let me know that I wasn't alone, really helped cope with that process. So I would say feel all the feels, be open to connecting with moms and sharing your story, because you never know how your story might affect someone else and how it can help them. Of course, if you're comfortable, right? And then I also journaled a lot when I went through the miscarriage. And within that journal, it was more of like a prayer journal for me, because it helped me connect with God in that moment, because I was honestly like, WTF, like, I'm healthy, my husband is healthy, how or why did we experience a miscarriage? I had all the questions. So, you know, write down how you feel, because that can also help with the coping. And I feel like was there another part of that question? I don't remember. But I do want to say this. This is kind of connected to your question. But be open to going to therapy as well. I thought about therapy when I had the miscarriage. I was in Columbia, Missouri, where there weren't too many people that looked like me and Devin. And I wasn't really sold on going to a therapist there. So I kind of like put it to the back burner. But I've had so many traumatic experiences with getting pregnant the first time, having the miscarriage, getting pregnant with Eli. His pregnancy was, oh my gosh, hell. And then now this experience, I'm open to going to therapy because subconsciously I don't want or know if there's anything impacting me, right? Like, consciously I'm fine, but subconsciously I don't know. Right. And I don't want, you know, long term to have, you know, issues that arise because I did not address what has happened in my fertility journey. You know, I want to make sure I address that, right? So be open to going to therapy as well, because you never know how it might support you through your journey.
That was good.
Thank you.
Good. Well, again, friend, thank you for being
Thank you for the questions.
So open and articulating your process so well, and handling it with grace.
Thank you. I appreciate you, girl.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all so much for joining us at the Real Mama Pod.
Yes, every Thursday night. Y'all could be anywhere,
but you're hanging out with us.
Yes, and we love it. So, friend, where can they find you?
They can find me anywhere they like. I'm on Instagram at KendraFerg _. And I'm also on Facebook, Kendra Ferguson. Okay. What about you?
And you can reach me at DevGrace _. Also, you can connect with us on Instagram, TikTok,
Pinterest, Twitter,
Facebook, Twitter, all of that at the Real Mama
Pod.
Yeah, so make sure you follow us. If you want to learn more about Kendra and I, you can check out our website where we have Mama merch. Hey, you can see our little sweatshirts.
All right. Yeah. We are wearing our Mama merch.
Yeah, we have sweatshirts, hats, necklaces. We also have Rich Auntie merch. So you can purchase that at www.real
Dot.
The Real Mama Pod.
Dot.
We're so corny.
I know. Until next time.